Good evening, good evening. Nothing to do right now? Maybe got an hour to kill. Well, just sit back, be enlightened, educated, and maybe even a little appalled with another episode of Two Average Joes. With your host from Lake Havasu, Arizona, Tony P. And from Long Beach, California, Joe Kelly. And without further ado, Two Average Joes.
The LB, representing the LB.
What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
Oh, you look nice. What are you? You're all jazzed up.
Well, this is sometimes when I do my reads, sometimes I, grab my props. Sometimes I wear something like this. It puts me in a different state of mind, a different POV,
Right.
as we call it in the business, a different point of view. So this is how
Interesting.
I was feeling today when I was recording. I was doing some corporate reads for people, for some insurance companies, and using the empathetic voice and thinking, like, look, here's Uncle Kelly telling you the way it should be. So that's
Right.
where I was at today.
So in your ad, you don't get to imitate the person that's on hold for like an hour and a half trying to get their
no,
questions
no,
answered. No, you don't. You're not that guy.
no, I'm not that guy.
Too
Uh,
bad, because
it's-
that's like the rest of us.
It's, I hate automatic. I mean, I was looking, my cousin sent me some meme and it said, for all of you paranoid people out there, we had this magic book at our house that had everybody's phone number, address, and it was called the phone
Right.
book. We all knew where
Right.
everybody lived and we could even go bother them if they want to. Now it's like I don't want to reveal my location to you. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
guys. We drink
Yeah.
out of
We could send
hoses.
like 10 peaches to your house too.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, we
Remember?
drank out of hoses. We walked up and back and forth in the back car seat without seatbelts, and we rode in the back of pickup trucks without any too much pain. A little
Just the
learning.
way it
curve.
went. But
So how's life in
good.
the world, brother?
It's good. It's going good. I had something I wanted to get your take on. You walk your dog.
Every day.
I know you long time. I know you pick up your dog's shit.
Oh yeah, big
Right.
big hot button for me.
But as you see when you're walking, others do not follow that program.
They do not.
And then the other day, Twee Shop is outside a pretty large grocery store. And, sometimes people will leave their cart up on the sidewalk where the shops are or something. It happens. And I don't want to get into that whole general topic because I know there's people that they literally need the cart to get to their car. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I'm not saying some people get a pass, but this dude walks over with the car next to his van. He loads up the van and he literally leaves the cart in the middle of the parking spot next to him, then walks around and gets in the van, and I'm like watching it, and I just walk out right in front of him. I grab the cart and I go return it to the cart thing and come back. And I didn't feel like getting I didn't say anything. I didn't feel like being confrontational. But it was like, then I started putting it together. Are these the same people? Is this something? Do you qualify the person's thinking as entitled? Is it just your dad didn't smack you upside the back of the head enough? I mean, you weren't brought up for those things to be important. These are probably the same people that leave campsites shitty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a person in general, or do people just randomly pick what they're not going to do? What's your
Well,
take?
my take is it's all has to do with probably multiple things, but for me, it's upbringing. And also, it's what I call civil obedience, which we are failing to have right now. As you watch more and more people run yellow, red lights going through, I always tell my wife, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Then I'm going because I'm not going to get the front end of my car taken out by somebody on their phone that missed. Oh, I missed the light. I think that.
Epidemic.
And then my father was very astringent about. I mean, he was Navy, so he was very astringent, and he was also IBM corporate, so he didn't figure things out. He ascertained them, so he had a different mindset than everybody else. But he'd come into my room and he'd say, no, you need to refold the bed, refold your clothes, do things with excellence, son. Leave a hole wherever you work. Stack boxes with excellence. Make sure they line up. Do it a little bit better than people expect, so they'll have a hole there when you're gone. And I think a lot of people have lost that. I'm not going to blame it on pandemic. I think it's people
Right.
who think, well, I deserve this. Well, my rights end where yours begin. Why do you think you deserve it more than I do? So I don't understand that mindset, but hey, I get that all the time from people, and I used to be the kind of guy that would pick up the dog crap and throw it at them if they did that. But I think that I'm going to try to handle it with love from now on. I just, at my age, I'm not really ready for the confrontation, and old age and treachery will, like you said, will get me in trouble. But hey, I'm disabled, retired. I got nothing but
Yeah.
time, so maybe I'll just take a.
No, and I get it. It was like this dude was, younger and pretty good size. He was probably my size, but he was younger. And I'm like, I don't want to say anything. I know this guy probably going to roll out of the van and kick my ass. Now, if it had been some old lady in a walker, yeah, I'd have gone toe to toe.
Well, a funny story is that when my son was about, I don't know, 15, 14, and I used to have a little Honda Civic EX, and it was like a little rocket, 2 doors and
Yeah, the
five
little
speed. Oh, it moved, and I had limo tint on everything. It was just silent, deadly killer. And so I was going over to Lowe's one day for something. I went to park, and this burly guy thought he was burly. And me, I used to be a pretty big guy. I mean, if I'm in my car with my son and my daughter, and this guy takes one of those flatbed carts and pushes it right towards where the space where I'm going to go in, and I stopped, and he just looks at me like, huh. And my son goes, Dad, just hold on, Justin, I'll take care of this. I put it in park and got out, and it was probably like the clowns at the circus getting out of a little car, because this 250-pound man who could bench 325 on a regular basis got out of the car and looked at him, and he looked like he was just crapped his pants. He was pretty nervous. I said, you never know who's in the car in front of you. And my
Right.
son's like, yeah, he's going to kick your ass. I'm like, Justin, if you keep this up, I'm going to let you deal with him. I'm going to sit in the car and kick back and relax.
Yeah. There's going to be an ass kicking, but it's not going to be this gentleman.
It's not going to be you, son, but it will be if you don't. If you,
So,
yeah,
did
you
the
never
dude
know. I
grab,
just don't like people like that. It
did-
drives me crazy. Why are you entitled to more than I am? I don't get it.
Right.
So, anywho, hey, just real quickly on the news front, I was looking and thinking, that one of the big deals is that Mustafa Khomeini was just elected because his dad Ali was assassinated.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's interesting because I read my news from BBC because they hate all Americans, so it's pretty non-biased. They hate the Democrats, hate Republicans. We're all stupid Americans, so that's the best source of news I go to. And they were saying that there's this guy, nobody knew much about him. He's 58 years old, but he's been said to be behind the scenes of a lot that's gone on for years. And when talking to people in the street, there was two sets of factions. One, people supporting the whole establishment, and they're saying this is great. He's even better than his dad. And then you've got people on the other side going, well, yeah, he's going to be worse than his dad. He's going to be more evil than his dad. And one person even said, well, at least we don't have to change the chant because it's still, Ayatollah Khomeini. It's still the same thing. So one less thing we got to worry about. So I guess they're trying to, trying to find something, good. But hey, Trump says that, hey, if they keep following this guy into the fray, that the war will be over soon. I don't really know about that. I'm not going to say yes or no, but I would hope so. I think we don't need a whole lot of strife going on. There's too much crap going on. But it makes you wonder, is somebody trying to cover up? I mean, it makes me think it's like, or if you want to say something controversial, it's like, okay, Trump's name just came up in the Epstein files. What best way to divert attention away from me? Then let's start a war. This will go on for some years, and by the time I'm out of here, then who won't matter because I'll be dead or old and nobody will care, and I'll have made my billions. But it's a good distraction away from the things that are important in our lives. Let's just start a war with some people.
I mean, I have to say that my my mantra on the topic has always been Israel will never let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
It's not a good
I've
idea.
said that for years and years and years, and that in many cases, even though assisting and seeing that it was probably needed, Israel's pretty capable military wise. They're no slouch. But I mean, that's the thing. A lot of countries have that arsenal, but it hasn't been something that's been used in many moons. And to let a country that would use it for the purpose of hate, I'm talking strictly hate, not defense, not but based on personal feelings and not more of an objective. Not that there's any good reason for war. I'm not trying to paint the perfect picture, but if it's out of hate for another person, that's different. I mean,
See, there's to me, there's extremists in every faction. I mean, if you talk about the conservative people, the extreme of that is the KKK. You've got some
Yeah.
really bad elements of the conservation, movement. So in the Muslim realm, you've got extremists, the jihad, you've got ISIS. Those guys, they take a different spin on what the Quran says. And the Quran has to be used in context, but they take a certain passage out there and say, hey, kill the infidels at all costs. And so they use that as their war cry. Hey, we're killing all you guys because you don't believe in Allah. So I think it's taken out of context, but hey, that's what people do. They like to take one bit of information and base their entire life on this little tidbit, which can be a little dangerous.
And there's Christians and Catholics that do the same thing. Um, every religion, it just happens, but it is unfortunate, and I hope it comes to some resolve, and it isn't based entirely on ego on both sides. I think we got ego on both sides,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
No one wants to lose face in this, everybody's watching type of thing. So they'd almost have to strike some mutual situation that looked very agreed upon, and not anybody actually, even though they're both saying, I'm not giving up, and we're not letting you give up without surrender. So who knows? But that's all posturing. That's part of the game.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's not on the lighter side, but you look at something like it's happening in the United States. I saw something that was bizarre. And any of you young people out there that maybe are listening that are, still in high school, we're not to that point yet, but just at some point, if you listen to this, remember that pranks can get you in a lot of trouble. These 5 kids from this 5 North Hall High School killed one of their teachers, James Hughes. They were over TPing his house one night, 2 girls and 3 boys, and he came out there and surprised them, and they took off, and he fell down the road, and one of the cars ran over him. So the kid Jaden Ryan Wallace, that's a good redneck name. Jaden Ryan Wallace, he's being held on felony first-degree vehicular manslaughter. And so it's it's kind of serious thing. It's like you never know where these.
So the guy that was driving was like drunk or something or whatever. He didn't see the kid run out in the road.
No, the guy that ran over was one of the kids. He got in his car. He went out there to catch him. There were like 2 getaway cars, and he must have run between them or something. I don't know the details, but one got away and he fell down. And maybe there was just so much toilet paper everywhere they thought they're running over toilet paper, and he was wearing his he was wearing his tidy whities out there. He just kind of blended in. But yeah, they ran him over.
No kidding.
That's so that's ugly, but that crap happens. So that's all the news I care to share about with today. But that's some interesting topics there. How about
I like how you
sports?
say that crap happens because they're TP in the house.
Well, it's like compost happens, is one I heard somebody once say.
It all ties together.
Hey, you know what's interesting about you and me? We have something in common. Well, you actually tied the Rays today in spring training. And yesterday, the Braves got beat by the Rays 8-9. And what was interesting, I thought, why would you tie a baseball game? But I looked it up, and what they say is that, no, this is more practice, and we don't want to extend it and, put people out and make them work extra innings. So if it's tied at the end of 9, it's like, have a good day. It doesn't really matter because it doesn't count. But I'm sorry, it always counts. You play to win. You don't play to tie. What the heck's that? Then give me a participation trophy, and I'll be happy. Welcome to 2026.
What it is it's probably a good third of the problem we face with, the newer generations. Everyone's a winner. You have to be taught all aspects of life as a child to be well-rounded. Not that it's, life is not always perfect world, and your boss isn't always just going to be kissing your ass every day.
And it's interesting, I just wrote a book, and it's a children's book, but it was based on an idea that pissed me off. Now, when I say I don't like the idea of woke, people get offended real quickly. But what my thought is like, look, I had a waitress the past couple of days at the same restaurant. I asked her, hey, your husband must be really happy. She goes, well, my wife is. She's got a nice rock on her finger. Now, you could look at her and go, oh, give her some kind of shocked look, or you can love her where she's at. And I think we would never have had this problem about woke and I need my rights if everybody did not judge other people and just go, hey, it's your world, Johnson. Do whatever you want to. If you want to, be crazy and be a butterfly, go ahead and be a butterfly. It doesn't really bother me. But the people that say, you're not a butterfly, that's where the problem starts. It's like, you want to fight? Now you've got people, well, it's dying off a little bit. But this whole book I wrote was based on that. It's like, look, those colors you may think you got it better, But no, it's like if you just love everybody and jump out into the real world, you just there's all kinds of colors and you don't have to worry about that. But like you said, our society is going to crap. I mean, it really is, man. It's like I'm glad that I'll be dead in 20, 30 years because the kids that are supposed to take care of us, I mean, they're sitting on their butts just wanting to be fed. That's the next socialist regime is coming into play. And I don't know what they call the youngest generation now, but
Now well, the popularity in that, which is probably fueled, I would say, by a majority of younger, is the agreement with socialism in the U.S. They showed the numbers roughly from 2010. It was like 18%, 15%, something in that neighborhood.
yeah,
And now it's 38%. And 38's getting pretty close to 50.
yeah,
You know what I mean? If that's a football game, you're still in it.
right.
So that's surprising. Now, again, polls known to be wrong. Who are they really asking? Is it favored by where they're geographically asking the question? Who knows? But nonetheless, the number went up.
And what is the representative sample they're using? Are they really taking a good, all the pies of the demographic and figuring out things, or they
Right.
just talking to 100 people that they just meet on the street coming out of Starbucks one day, and that's their survey?
Right.
Who knows? So it just seems to me they're always going to get information skewed. And one thing I took a class, and it was only a 1 unit class in college, but I needed an extra filler, and it was a research class that I took, and it was hard. I mean, I liked it good hard, but you had to learn how to use periodicals, and it's like now I understand why colleges pay thousands of dollars for these articles, these journals, because it's peer
Right.
reviewed. It's like if I look at something that says .com, I just immediately think it's probably crap, and I'll go look at 3 sources to find out consistency before I take something as face value, because we're being lied to. .com is ridiculous. A lot of people can, I mean, look, Wikipedia, until recently, you could change things if you wanted and make them
Right.
say what you wanted to. So it just, there's
That's
been a loss for
that-
respect.
right. That's
It's
funny you
terrible.
use the 3 article rule. So you're seeing that it's not just a one time opinion. I do the same with recipes. I'll look at 5 or 6 recipes that are high rated, right? And I'm writing down the common ingredient that's in each one, because then I know that's my base. Because if there's 3 or 4 of them using it, then it's core,
Right.
and then I can vary it from that. So yeah, the 3 rule. The
And in
three.
sales, it's don't you agree? Don't you agree? Don't you agree? If you agree 3 times, you're going to buy from me because you convinced yourself you want something. Don't you agree? Give the Sullivan nod. Remember that guy Sullivan? The Sullivan nod.
Jim
Purpose That
Sullivan.
Sells by Tom Sullivan. So
Was it Tom or Jim? Oh, Tom.
I don't know, Tom or Jim. I'm not sure. It was one of those Sullivans. He was indicted anyway for something. I think he was.
You talking about Jim, like the 1 minute manager?
No. That's different. I'm talking about. I bought a bunch of because the videos and stuff and training books for my staff when I became manager, and it was called
Right.
Service That Sells, and how do you
Right.
sell and how to upsell and all this stuff and stuff. And I got pretty good at teaching people how to upsell toppers and stuff and increase the price of your check, which is going to increase the price of your tip and their favor. They're going to love you for that. So, this guy, he called it the Sullivan nod. It's like, so would you like mushrooms with that? And you're nodding your head at the same time. And it's like, yeah, I'd like
Right.
mushrooms. It's almost kind of the snake charmer. You wave yourself in front of them. You want some more mushrooms with
I,
them?
th- I think that is the same guy as the 1 minute manager.
Really? I thought it was different, but now 1 minute manager is awesome stuff. That's the sandwiching an area of opportunity between 2 compliments is the way that I live my life now.
Let me look it up real quick. Jim Sullivan.
It's just like service
What
that
would you
sells.
consider his title?
Restaurant
speaker?
restaurant advisor. Let's see. Let's go with this. We'll go
Motivational speaker. Yeah, there we go.
service that sells.
Yeah, was that him? Service that sells?
That's it. Service that sells. Thrift book. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. Who did it? I don't find his name here. What about a comprehensive guide to teaching restaurant staff how to boost profits to enhance customer experience? That's exactly what I use.
Icon in the business, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, anyway, greatness usually comes with fault.
You had you had mentioned earlier about the war and hiding Trump in the from the Epstein files or whatever, but it's ironic that as much hoot and hollering that's been going on over the Epstein files, which obviously they should have been years ago, right? We shouldn't even be having the topic. I don't know how many people have said they're going to release them, and it doesn't. And when they do, it's blacked out. It's like you're not showing us anything. But that said, they vote the House or Senate. They vote the other day about the release of sexual crimes or any type of personal situations with the politicians, with both sides, the Democrat, Republican. It wasn't one sided, and it was voted down 372 to 60. The majority, 372, said no, we're not going to show which person was involved in either paying somebody off for an affair, that kind of stuff, right? These are all documents that they have, information they have, and that was the vote. The vote was to release that information to the public, and hypocritically 372 said no. Probably all 372 voted and wanted the Epstein files released. So it's one of those. It's all good when it's not you.
Right. And the problem with politicians, and I had an opportunity to enter politics and I was going to work for a PAC one time, and it was so corrupt. It's like I want nothing to do with that. It's like I would rather my candidate to win on his merits, not because you're a piece of crap. And I'm going to find this stuff in you that says you're a piece of crap, so my candidate can win. Doesn't mean to me that the better person is going to be running things. And it just means the craftiest person won the thing. And that's not who I want. I don't want craftiness. I want honesty and forthright attempts to take care of societal problems. But that's a pipe dream. And so it's like when people there's always skeletons in everybody's closet in politics. It's like one guy said, he goes, if I'm not kissing ladies and giving their babies lollipops, I'm taking them out of their mouth. And that's pretty much the way it is.
And there's no doubt they go into it knowing that. I mean, it's not like a mystery. When you make that decision, you have to say to yourself, okay, that skeleton door is going to be open at some point. Might not happen in the campaign, might not happen year two or three, but eventually it comes out.
It's because it's the things that I think we're fortunate being as old as we are, because we got away with a lot of crap when we were young because there was nobody sitting there with a phone recording us.
Oh,
And we went on social media
fantastic.
20 minutes later.
Thank,
It's like,
thank,
thank you,
thank
God.
God.
I mean,
Right.
I mean, and this is a little bit off color, but it was funny. I when I was younger, I was reading the back of a High Times magazine, and it said, "Get paid to smoke pot," and I'm like, really? We'll see about that. And I spent $10, and they sent me a list. The first name on the list was a UCLA research. They wanted men between 45 and 60, and I think I was like 48 at the time or 47, who
Right.
did not smoke cigarettes but smoked marijuana. And so I went down there. I made like $2,500 for getting high on some really, really bad weed. But it's
No way.
but the funny thing, the reason I mentioned that is because I went in there and I got this like $1,000 blood test analysis of everything that could be possibly wrong with my body. And this lady was
Right.
funny. She walked in the room when the next time I came, and she goes, "Well, I just want to let you know you made it through the 80s unscathed. There's no diseases in your body, nothing." And I'm thinking, that's things that we had to worry about. We didn't have the morning
Right.
after pill. We didn't have, intelligence. We had lots of alcohol, and we made stupid decisions. But man, I
Right.
tell you what, I'm so glad that wasn't around, bro. I'm so glad.
Can you imagine? Ugh,
Oh,
what a nightmare.
yeah.
Man's diary. Remember before there was just the girls had the diary, right? Tucked away
Yeah.
under the bed, wrote in it every night. The computer or smartphone now has become man's diary. All the shit you do shows up on that web.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's like
There's no
what you
getting rid of it, right? I mean, somewhere it's still there, right?
exactly. It's like one of my mentors say, everything you do will be used against you, not can and will. It just will be used against you. And just know that.
Right.
So
Well,
just
guilty is guilty by accusation in most
yeah, it's
cases.
true. It's like I mean, that's the one thing that upsets me is I can sit there and say, I think this person molests children. All of a sudden, people have a stigma. He must molest children because somebody said it out loud. And now
Right.
that guy's life is ruined and he found innocent for it, but it doesn't really matter. For the rest of his life, he's going to be, no, oh, it's that guy that we don't know if he did, but somebody said he molested children. So
Right.
it sucks. You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Oops, knock over my fan.
Nothing. Gonna go on with each day. And
Everybody has a fan club. This is my number one fan right here.
oh, speaking of, we did a couple of shout outs last week to Becky and Shay, but I wanted to mention a friend of ours. He's been on one of our test shows, and then he's also been on one of my podcasts, Half a Foodie, sponsored by Western States Restaurant Consulting, and that's Chef Rick James. Remember Rick?
Well, of course I do.
The
Rick
beard?
James. How can you forget a name like Rick James?
We got to have him on again. He was a lot of fun.
Well, so what I'm also going to do is that I've been pretty busy with my voiceover stuff, but this week I'll be making some recordings for my Instagram and my Facebook for this and promote a little bit more to the people we have. And the people that know Tony and myself from our past can see how
Yeah.
we've stayed connected all these years. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we can celebrate. We officially have over 100 views between the whatever 4 or 5 videos that are posted. So it's a milestone. We'll take the little nugs.
Hey, we're just having
We're,
a good time talking about things that, just we enjoy talking about. It's
we're two subscriptions away from double digits. We'd be at 10, right?
what do you know? Hey,
Probably going to see some balloons hanging behind me next week.
the greatest journey starts with a single footstep. We have to remember that. So
That's right. Everything starts in the seed.
exactly.
Speaking of special days, I know it's quite a ways off, but I thought it would be a lot of fun if on National Daughters Day we had the two girls on the show with us. Have our girls on. It's September, sometime in September. I want to say like the 25th or something. So it's a while. It's a while off, but yeah, September 25th. But I thought that'd be a lot of fun. What do you think? They can what it was like growing up with their dads and what's going on in their life and what maybe some of the topics we talk about. And we got to definitely do the round robin of questions. Actually, what I thought would be really fun is we get some cards made up and we play that game they do where see if couples like know each other, right? The last week,
Oh, yeah.
what's his favorite color or what's his favorite movie or something like that, and we have a contest to see which two know each other better, right?
Do you know your daughters think you do, or vice versa? That's a good idea. So
Yeah.
I've already got National Daughters Day in September. I'll look up the date. But yeah, let's
It's a
do that.
Friday, so we'll have to look at the logistics of that with the girls, and even if it's not exactly on that day, the idea is there.
Hey, we'll just record it and we'll post it on Daughters Day.
There you go.
So
there you go.
yeah,
Fantastic.
that's nice. Well, Miranda would love to do that. I have such a good time with my daughter. We're pals. We're good friends, so that's always nice. And I look at my friend, and he had two daughters, and he was telling me when they were born, they're going to be this way, and there's going to be this way, and this is going to happen. And it's all going to be positive. And I said, yeah, you keep writing that stuff down. It looks good on paper, doesn't it? Because when the real world hits you, the real shit hits the fan. Because that's not the way it is. But what I guaranteed him, I said, look, because he's got teenage daughters, and they've shunned him. They want money, they want a ride, but please don't talk when my friends are around. I don't want them to know you exist, except for as a meal ticket. But it's funny. I said when they're about 25, 24, 25, they'll come back to you and say, Dad, hey, that time I did that, I'm so sorry. And it's like, and what happens is when they start using the front part of their brain, they start thinking about their thoughts more. And that happens for women about 24, 25, men a little bit older, about 26. And I know because my son came to me at 26 and was like, Dad, duh. It's like, yep, you're exactly right. So, hey, it's come. So those are things to look forward to. And now my daughter takes me to concerts every year. We play guitar together. And she encourages me. And so it's wonderful. So
that's like that old saying where the 24-year-old says, man, I can't believe how smart my parents have gotten in the last 10 years.
That's so true.
And they remember those little tidbits of wisdom.
Or it's funny sometimes when they're walking around your house and all of a sudden they look at something and they're going, wait a minute. Were you doing this when we were? Yeah, I was. It's like they have the aha moment about their parents. It's like when my kids discovered I smoked weed. They were like, oh my God. But then and it was funny because my daughter actually when she discovered it, I had some pot up in the top of the kitchen beyond her reach. She gets up on a stool, goes up there to get some. She's like, "Hey, what's this?" to her girlfriend. I found some pot. This is probably my dad's. He's never going to admit it. Let's go smoke it. So I was looking
He's
for that
never
weed
going
for
to
about
admit it.
2 months, going, where the hell did I put that weed? I can't believe it. And it wasn't until
Oh
like 10
shit!
years later, Miranda's like, remember that time that you thought you had lost your weed and you didn't say anything?
Right.
Well, Amanda and I smoked it. So, you never know. It's funny.
That is awesome. That is funny stuff. He's not going to admit it. We're in the clear.
It's right. She confronted me one time. It's like I had bought a plastic bong. I mean, this is eons ago, and it was in the outside tool shed. Fell down with spider webs in it, and it was. I mean, it was probably 8 years old, and she's freaking out. You smoke marijuana? I'm like, honey, this is from years ago. I don't even remember even I had this. So
Right. I've
then
been
their
putting that
attitude.
in my spaghetti sauce on Sunday. I didn't even know.
The attitude
Uh,
changes when they get a little older, though. So that's it's good.
I think so. The little bit of advice my father gave me, I don't know if it's such a great thing, but it was sort of for me in a way. That they weren't. My parents didn't give a lot of advice. My dad gave very little. You know what I mean? And they were definitely more of you'll figure it out. And I can sort of see why in a way because I know a lot of times you give advice and it's in one ear and out the other. Blah blah blah. But my dad had said two things. One, if it's too good to be true, it usually is. And two, in business, you always pay your employees first. If things turn to shit, you pay your employees first, and then you pay your vendors and your utilities and shit, whatever. But employees number one.
That's a good bit of advice.
Yeah, can't take it out on them.
No, you can't.
Take it
So,
out on the cable guy.
so it's like I'm gonna look something up real quick here. Um,
My birthday.
I know your birthday is December 24th, 1962.
Oh man, now everyone's gonna steal my identity. Shit.
We'll just have to edit
Good
that
thing we
out.
don't have that phone book anymore that have my address too, right?
Exactly. I was really appalled because I'm a huge fan of CrossFit. I mean, when we were kids, they had something when I was in my 20s. It was called the Perrier Park Course, and they'd convert parks, and they had like little stations, and you'd run from one station, you do some sit-ups, run to another one, you do pull-ups, all the way
Right.
around. And then they developed into this thing called CrossFit, and they went up to this ranch up in Northern California that this guy
With the the
Dave,
ropes.
exactly. Well, Dave Castro was a Navy SEAL, and so he started this CrossFit thing up at his Aroma Ranch. I forgot the name of it called, but it's a ranch
Right,
to find
right.
out who was the most fit person in the world. Well, it became a worldwide phenomenon, and it's gotten big. And I buy the films every year that the Gravitas films that they put these out because it motivates me when I'm sitting at the gym and I'm doing on the Olympic trainer. I'm watching this going, yeah, I'm feeling good because that would have been me if I was in my 20s. I would have done CrossFit because I was the kind of guy that should have gone into basic training because that would have been like summer camp for 8 weeks or whatever. I love that kind of stuff. I love hurting myself till I'm better. But this one guy, this 28-year-old kid, this Serbian athlete, Lazar Dukic, on August 8th in 2024, he actually died. They had they combined things, and people who watch CrossFit or who don't watch it, they say, "Well, I go to the gym and do CrossFit workouts." No, this is 5 days of probably on steroids, 10 times what you ever do in the gym. But what they
Right.
did is they made a mistake, I believe, is this event was a lot of running, and then it was like, I don't know, 3 mile run or something, and then an 800 yard swim. And this guy drowned because they did the run first. He was probably cramped up. He was tired or whatever. But they canceled the events for the rest of the day. And I thought, that is crazy. Because I was wondering, why didn't that film come out for 24? And I kept looking for it
I
because the
don't
guy
want to be
died.
Captain Obvious, but they probably had to clean the pool.
Well, it was actually a lake, and so they had to
Oh, okay.
it's like dredge the lake, look for him. But I was pretty surprised. I mean, here you got the fittest people in the world. These guys are
Yeah.
crazy in shape, and he drowned. So it's like even the best can fail.
Well, I mean, the body can only take so much.
So you've been playing
That's
any
why they
golf
do all
there? You
that
got
stuff.
is the weather good? You playing golf?
Weather was like 90 today.
Yeah, it was about that more for yesterday. It was down to about in the
Yeah.
mid
Well,
70s today. But are you playing any golf at all?
no, haven't played. But Twee wants to start to learn to play golf.
Wow.
So I'm going to find just a cheap pair of clubs, just to get, something to swing, get the feel.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think I have to go with because she's like 4'11",
Right.
so I think like almost like a junior club.
That's exactly what you start with. I mean, because you're not worrying about so much. The staffs are the shafts are really stiff because she's not going to worry about. She's too new at it to worry about how much whip she's going to have when she comes down her downswing and such. But that's what you would start with. I've told my
Yeah,
other people that start them. I started with a junior set. It's
yeah, it's
less
just just
expensive.
just about making contact at
It'd
this
be
point.
pitching wedge, three, five,
Yep,
nine, that kind of
right.
thing, and a 3 wood and a driver, and then you're good to go. Little bag wouldn't
Well,
cost you a lot.
I could pretty much play the whole game with a driver, a seven, and a putter.
You saw Tin Cup, right? He played the entire round with like a
No, but
nine,
I mean
7 iron or
that's the only
something.
because I don't hit my driver very far, and I don't use a pitching wedge, so I always use the seven to chip up anyway. So I'm thinking I could make, and you have to have the putter. In
Right.
fact, if anything, I'd give up I wouldn't use the driver. I'd use like a 5 wood. That way I could use it in the fairway. So I'd go 5 wood, 7 iron putter if I could only take 3 clubs.
That's interesting because even with, I mean, I haven't played golf in a bunch of years because I messed up my shoulders, and when I'm 70, I can have these operations on my shoulders, and I will start playing golf again. I mean, I miss golf, but I have a full set of clubs. In fact, I think I took out the 2 iron and kept it, and I put it because I'm left-handed. I put in a right-handed 7 iron because there have been times I've been against a fence or something,
Right, the tree.
and you only have I think
Right.
14 clubs in your bag. So I'm never going to use my 2 iron anyway. It's too much of a it's too I'd rather use a 3 wood or a 5 wood instead of use a 2 iron. So
No, I
that's
agree. I've turned my 7 iron upside down and used it like that.
Try it with a
But
left-handed club. You have a better time.
but oddly enough, my friend, I too golf left-handed, but I'm right-handed.
Wow.
But quick story: when I was a youngin, back in the day when they could kick you out of the house and you ran down to the park and rec, right? And they opened up the big box. That was before they were stealing your kid before he could get fucking 3 houses away. And they were doing baseball one day, right?
Right.
And my brothers, my dad, they never taught me sports. And so they're like, okay, you're your turn to bat type of thing, right? And I knew I was right-handed, so it only made sense to me to hold the bat with my right arm in the front. That was just my split second logic,
Wow.
since they didn't know I didn't know, right? And so the three sports, I'll see if you can guess them. We are one's already given away,
And
golf.
so
What's the other two that I have to do left-handed because of that?
probably baseball or softball, something like that. And let me
Baseball,
see.
that's number two. One more.
So softball counts as the same thing. It's not.
So, same as baseball. Yeah, I
Okay.
hit left-handed.
So let me see. What else would you use that you would worry about? I don't know, fencing.
No, I have to do that right-handed, or there'd be a shit ton of blood. Hockey,
Oh, okay, good. I'm
because it's
looking at
across the body.
Red
You
Wings
know.
behind you. Of course, hockey. Duh. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, there they are. Woo!
It's right. Exactly. But
So that's funny. Everything else, I'm right-handed. I could not throw a ball 5, 10 feet left-handed. I have no coordination. I'm not ambidextrous.
well, I
There's
wasn't
three
making a
sports.
joke about fencing because I'd taken fencing before. I was in fact I was a first place finisher in a fencing championship.
Do you do it right or left?
I do it left, and the thing is that it was in a class and they had a competition, and I won in everybody in the class, like 40 people, and I honestly believe it was because I was left-handed and everybody else was right-handed. Because the guy that I partnered with, he finished second, so he was used to fencing against left-handed people,
Yeah.
and the
So
foils are different. They're built different for right-handed,
right-handed.
left-handed
You're
people.
left-handed, so your swords are basically starting off on the same side.
Right,
There's
right,
no
and it freak them out, and it's like it's because I'd start off right-handed and then I jump left-handed when I started down the runway,
Oh, the
and they're
old
like, "What are you doing?" So it's
the
like,
old switcheroo.
it's right. Hey, I'm sorry. I was people just couldn't handle it, but the guy that I fenced with, he
Oh
understood defense
shit.
against that.
That's
So
fucking funny. You're
yeah.
like
I almost became
you
went into
start off all of a
fencing.
sudden you whip that thing over.
Well, that was one of the most fun things I've ever done. When they hold their hand up like this when they fence, it's not
Right.
for balance. It's because they used to put tobacco or sand in their hand and they throw it in their eyes when they
Oh,
were fighting.
dirty pool.
That's well, I mean, fair is for childhood games. I'm sorry, man. When it comes to
But you
fighting,
can't switch over when you're fencing. Like can you just can you do the other hand like real quick just for a
well,
throw
the
off
foil's
stab?
not built like that. The foil is built for either a left-handed or right-handed person. It's bent. There's a little curvature, and it fits right to your palm of your hand. For me, it was perfect,
Okay.
and they only had two of them, and so there was no other left-handed people in the class but me. So I had a
Right.
real nice foil. It's perfectly straight because nobody used it. There was nobody left-handed, but it grips your.
Okay.
It's like using a left-handed pair of scissors that was made
Right.
for right-handed people.
Right.
Same kind of thing. But it was one of the most fun things I've ever done. If there was a known, if I'd been like in a major metropolis, I wasn't in LA, I was up in Walnut Creek. So if I'd been in LA, there probably would have been a fencing club I could have gotten involved in because I loved it, man. I thought it was cool as all get out.
Well, in LA, there's probably more fencing of diamonds going on than a
That's
little
probably right.
duel between gentlemen.
So have you eaten any good food lately? Gone to any restaurants you brag about?
No, but that said, I am giving the St. Louis ribs another shot in the smoker today.
Nice.
And I was going to do some wings with them also. I was going to smoke the wings, but they were still semi-frozen. And one thing I'm pretty sure I caught when I was reading about the smokers, you can't really put frozen food in because then it stays in that danger zone too long
Exactly.
by the
Right.
time it thaws. So I had to forego those, but I this time I'm doing those ribs for 7 hours. Last time I did them for 5, and they were just still a little chewy. The flavor was there, but I just like them a little more tender. And I know that's a whole separate argument. I talk to people all the time that they're insulted if the meat slides off the bone. And to me, I've always thought fucking touchdown,
Yeah, but see
right?
the way around that, some of the restaurants I've worked for that offer ribs as a choice, they cook them all ahead of time and then they put them in the fridge, and so they get
Right.
solid again. And so what I do when I cook my ribs, I want to be able to pull the bones off and make a McRib sandwich if I want to. That's the
Yeah.
kind of way I look at it. But what I'll do is I'll take them off if I'm not going to eat them right then. I'll wrap them and put them in the fridge. And then they'll get hard, and so then the bones don't slide out. And then what I do is
Right.
I either take them out on the grill and reheat them, or put them under the broiler just so maybe they'll just caramelize a little bit on the top. But I'm the
That's
same
always
way.
safer. Yeah, I'm a fan of the whole broil or caramelized sauce.
Yeah, it works real well for me too. I mean, because you and I have a little bit of restaurant knowledge, so we've had our share of mishaps, and so with that learning how to do, then you learn how to make a nice package. So I think
Hey, I
that's
have a call with a
easy.
client right after the show. Someone responded to my web page. So exciting news! I don't do a lot of work because I don't travel as much. So a lot of but there's still so many things I can do via internet and Google Drive and all that.
Right.
So hopefully it pans out. Someone's starting a restaurant and they want some professional advice. I believe they've come to the right source.
Nice. Well, I know they have. I've worked for you and not just with you. I was a subordinate to Tony P, and that's where I got the best knowledge I have of restaurant work. I worked with a lot of misfits before that sat up in quadrant one most of their life trying to put out fires. But Tony
Right.
taught me how to be proactive, how to sandwich those compliments and such.
I don't even know if you remember this because it's been about 10 years. I formed my consulting company in
Hmm.
2015.
Yeah,
And I remember asking you to either do a review or a quote.
yeah.
Do you remember the quote you gave?
And I don't remember the quote, but I remember that interview. What quote did I give?
Well, for me to say it sounds a little
Well, what was it about? Maybe I'll remember the quote. So.
uh Tony has forgotten.
Oh, yes. The thing about is Tony's forgotten more about restaurant work than I'll ever know. I mean, that's the one thing that's true. It's like out of this man came more ideas, and I'm thinking, this guy's younger than me. How does he know all this stuff? Well, he's not some wise old, guy. He's just a young kid, but he always had these ideas, and I'm like, he has actually probably forgotten more than I'll ever know. And so that's a very
No,
true
that was a
statement.
great quote. That was it's one of those things, we remember so little things and less as we get older. But I always remember that. I always appreciate that. You've always been a top-notch friend.
Well, the thing is that
hands down.
people of integrity expect to be believed, and when they're not, they let time prove them right. And that's one thing I've known about you is when I was leery at you because Tony and I entered into our relationship in the restaurant business based on someone getting fired and Tony replacing that person. So there was already an upheaval in the restaurant, and people were resistant to the change because this other guy, I mean, just it was easy to work with him because he just didn't really give a shit. So
Let's just say super well liked.
yeah, yeah, that's the thing. And there was, I mean, oh,
You're talking about Rick Brown.
oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's
super endeared by everybody. The guy walked on water.
yeah. Well, no, I worked for him also. I had a couple of mishaps with him, and one of them I won't get into on camera because I want to give him respect. But it's like I became well. I mean, I discovered some things about him by accident, and they
Oh,
turned out to be parody with my own life. And I thought I was hurt. He thought I was making fun of him, and I hurt
hold
his
on.
feelings.
What if we black out your face and we use one of those things that changes your voice? And you can,
What I'll do is I'll just go into
yeah,
an alternate voice that I always use. This
yeah.
guy was just crazy. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, he'll never know it was
So
you. Very good.
we're going to bring a man on that who had a very bad experience with Tony.
Hi, my name is Tim. I had
That
a
is
terrible
awesome.
experience.
We won't do that to him.
No.
But yeah, I know Rick Brown real well. But what I
Yeah.
was talking about was when you came to Lake Forest,
Right.
because I left Torrance right as you were getting there about there. I left Rick and I went down to and worked with Mike Sullivan down in Rancho Mirage.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
where I
yeah,
was
yeah.
at.
I remember Mike.
And so I worked with him until I wanted to beat him to a pulp for being a thief and being an idiot. And then they transferred me. I said, look, yeah, I'm gonna go work for Buffalo Ranch, and they got pissed. And Tim Klein said fire him. And Tim Burns was like, no, don't fire him. No, it was Ralph Norwood. No, let me just go work things out. And they gave me what I wanted. And then a month later, they promoted me to general manager over in Monrovia. So I was getting what I wanted, but at the same time, this company just was bleeding me dry. I just hated it. Restaurant business is something you're born to do, and then you have to
Well,
just manage it like
you
we did. That's time consuming, and it just takes years off your life.
we've all learned that you're only as good as last week's numbers.
I sat one
Right.
time, literally, I sat waiting over at ARG headquarters to talk to Tim Klein, and he was talking to was it Ralph Roberts? Is that who was the big guy? Ralph Roberts was the president, and Tim
President,
Klein was the
yeah,
vice president. So I'm
yeah,
sitting there, and I'm listening. I was outside the office, and I'm listening to them talk, and they were talking about a manager. I won't say the name, and they said, "Well, how's he doing?" I don't know. Let me see. They grabbed a P&L. They were running over like that. They looked around on the left side of the page and went, "He's
yeah,
doing right page. He's doing great." I'm
yeah.
thinking. They'd
That's
only
it.
judge you by
Numbers.
your numbers. That's all they
That's
can
it.
judge you by.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, my friend.
That's why you had to know how to do both.
Yeah, it's a tough way to balance. But
Not
then you
easy.
had people that would withhold spending on the major expenditures, and then they would
Right.
leave the restaurant. Then you were left with it,
Right.
and all of a sudden you
Yeah.
lose 40 grand. They're like, "What?
Yeah.
What? You're an idiot. Well, how'd that
They,
happen?"
they walk out waving goodbye with their bonus check. See you, dude.
Exactly. I won't name any names, Lee Khan.
Yeah. It's Lee Can.
Lee Khan, Lee Garcia, who now will become Lee Khan. That's so we knew him as Lee Garcia then. But okay,
Well, we are going to learn more about you.
okay,
You know the drill. One
I
through
know the
five.
drill. I will take 2 today, please, my friend.
Number 2. Hmm. What is a book or a movie character you strongly identify with and why? Book or movie character you strongly identify with and why?
Now that's crazy because I just had a conversation with somebody, Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye. I mean, here's a kid that was getting kicked out of high school, or he actually just quit or something. He's getting kicked out for poor grades, goes off to New York City and just lives a frivolous life as a 17-year-old. And I'm like, that's exactly what I did. And I even went to New York City to do it. So Holden Caulfield of A Catcher in the Rye is who I have identified most with when I was, because that just reminds me of when I was young. So that's
Yeah.
my answer.
A book I never read. I would imagine most schools it was mandatory.
Yeah,
No.
but when I didn't read a lot in high school, I thought high school was about peer pressure, sports, and girls. And I would take all my English courses. I would not read the books. I would have the Cliff's notes, and I'd listen in class, and I'd get B's on everything. It's pretty stupid, to think you
You're
can't.
not completely wrong as far as what it was about.
But that's what all I learned was peer pressure, sports, and girls, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
about it.
Gotta
Okay,
prioritize.
I've got a question for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all and 10 being very much so, how superstitious are you?
Well, interesting because the word, can equate to a couple similar ones like karma, but I would say that I'm less than I used to be. So let's say I think when I was a little bit younger, in my 20s and 30s, I was probably, 50, 60%. Now it's like 30. And and part of that struggle is and again, I hate that we always bounce around to religion because I don't want to offend anybody and I don't want to toot like my beliefs are correct. But um, a lot of times people say, "Oh man, you were so lucky," whereas some people would say you were so blessed. So is luck luck? Now, I agree there is a degree of luck in everything from poker to sports. Doesn't matter. Everything. I believe that luck does come into play. Superstition. Would I walk under a ladder now? I avoid it. That's embedded. Um, I don't go out of my way to break any mirrors, but I don't have a rabbit's foot on my keychain. So, because again, I also think in some cases those superstitions are almost borderline worshiping a false god. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I think that with me more, I think my cousin's into NASCAR, so I'll give a shout out to NASCAR. And my sister lives right near Denny Hamlin. So what I'll say is that if you concentrate on the wall, you're going to hit the wall. And what I mean by that is that I focus on things that are going to bring out a positive change, and I'm not hinging everything on a rabbit or something like that. And people say, "Well, you're suspicious because look, you got the Braves there." No, this is called team loyalty. I enjoy
Right.
rooting for my team, which has nothing to do with superstition. I don't wear my Braves hat and my official Braves jersey when I go to a game because I'm superstitious. I want to support my team.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
don't believe in
I think that's
superstition.
different.
I
I think
think
that's
yes,
different.
there is luck. You've got to admit you've seen balls bounce and hit somebody's hand. And he's like, I got the ball, and he score a touchdown and win.
Right.
That kind of thing happens. But as
Um,
far as superstitious, no, I'm just not superstitious at all.
so do you do anything even like are there any examples? Like for example, I have a folded up $2 bill in my wallet. I went to Vegas a week ago for a night. I wore my red boxers. I thought they'd be lucky. So there is tiny little things. Not that I runs my life. You must have something. Touch a screw in the car when you go over railroad track. Anything?
There's nothing that I feel superstitious about.
Oh, step on the crack of a sidewalk.
Nope. I mean, I've seen Good as It Gets with the dog and Jack Nicholson stepping over the cracks, but none of that stuff bothers me. I just don't.
You could do that wearing that hat too. It would look good.
Yeah, exactly. This is for a Scally though. I'm not. They don't give me money, but I do promote them. Scally hat is a wonderful hat. I love them.
So not one single
You know what? I will
lucky
think about.
number.
I'll think about this. Well, it's like I told somebody one time. I said, "Hey, red 27. Here's $10. Put it on red 27." That's only because I was born
Okay.
on the 27th of June. That's not a lucky
Okay.
number. And
Right.
it
Right.
actually, he says, "Hey, we were going to the table and they called red 27." I said, "Please don't tell me you put it on red 27 again." He goes, "Well, I did. You told me to." I'm like, dude, it's like
Uh,
1/1,000 times 1/1,000 is a lot less happening than 1 over that. It's
Sounds
like
like
so.
1 over 1 million now.
Yeah, it's like you got to be kidding me. So no, there's
So
nothing I think about. I'll think about it for next week, and if I come up with something that, oh, you do this, I'll ask my
yeah,
wife.
I've
Do you
got. I was just
consider me
thinking there'd be a
superstitious?
tiny little trinket
Well,
that
and
you
and
did.
and you mentioned religion. It's like, I'm a Christian. I don't really worry about the luck thing. Am I blessed? Well, I'm blessed if good things happen and bad things happen. And you ask, well, why is that? Because those bad things are teaching me about perseverance and how to do something better. It's a lesson I'm being learned. It's like, am I being corrected? Well, my father corrected me all the time. I got, so I learned from
Right.
my correction. So
Right.
when it comes to superstitions, it's either I do it or I don't. That's the way I look at it. It's not. I don't think that is there luck. Oh yeah, there's been luck at times. I got picked for this job one time, and there's only 4 lines that I had to say, and it was like, "Hi, honey, I don't know what happened today. Did you look down? It's on your finger." Nice. And I'm thinking 50 people did that, and out of 50 people they said that's the one we want. I'm like, how the hell does that happen?
Right.
So,
That is the roulette wheel.
but to me that was where that aspect of luck comes in. Or somebody said, "Oh, he
Shit.
sounds like my cousin. I like him because he
Right.
sounds like my cousin." So, no, I don't believe in that. Okay, now let me ask you another question here, and I like this one. What moment of glory have you watched another person celebrate that you too would love to experience if you could? What moment of glory have you watched another person celebrate that you too would love to experience if you could?
Oh wow, that's so tough. Because I try to think of anyone that's close, but yeah, stumped. I got nothing.
Well, then I'll just put this out there. Hopefully there's this gentleman will even listen to us. I went to high school with him. His name is Steve Thomas, and
Yeah.
I followed him over the pole vault pit, and I ended up, he was 14 feet as a senior, and I was jumping 11.6. I think nothing very big, but I went to one time when he was in college. He was going up to Cal State. Was it Cal Poly San Luis Obispo? Up there, and they were doing a tri meet at USC, and my ex at the time went to USC, and I said, let's go and watch the meet. And there's Steve, all fuzzy hair and everything, at the pole vault pit. I go over to talk to him, and I'm right there where he's got the pole, and I'm talking to him, hello, and he goes, just a second. He turns around and he runs down and clears 17 feet. And I'm
No
like,
way.
holy smokes. And he was slated to go to the Olympics, and
Wow.
his coach had him triple jumping and blew out his knee, which is, you can't do both. And so he lost his chance of going to the Olympics, and I think that he probably would have done well. And he goes around the country now teaching young kids how to pole vault, which is an amazing thing. But I sat there when I watched him, and I'm thinking, I'm sitting here talking to him. He told me to hold on, and there was no like, I need quiet. He just said, just a second, boom, cleared 17 feet, and I went,
Right.
why can't I do that? I am so envious of that, the grace and beauty as you bent the pole and you shot yourself up, turned around, pushed away from it,
Right.
and fell over the
Well,
bar.
and even just the sheer coolness of it.
I
you know.
celebrated it with him because I couldn't do it myself,
Right.
but that's
Right.
what I always wanted to do. Because I got a little bit of that glory when I moved to New York because they pulled me out of class when I got there. I was just senior, and I'm planning on leaving anyway. I don't care. I'm going to graduate the half year and go back to California. But they called me from my class. They said they need to see you in the coach's office. Okay. And I had my Northgate letter jacket on from the high school in California on in New York, and he said, "Do you plan on doing any wrestling?" And I said, I'll wrestle till I probably leave. And he says, "What else do you do?" I said, "Well, I run track." He goes, "What event do you do?" I said, "I pole vault." He said, "How high do you pole vault?" I said, Nothing spectacular, just 11.6." And they looked at me and they said, "Turn around and look at the record board." Some guy jumped 10 feet, and that was the record. And I said, "Dude, we straight pulled that at practice just to warm up. 10 feet was a no-brainer." So if I decided to stay, I would have been a celebrity. I had all the women I want, but I just couldn't hang out. But it was that was the one time I felt like because of what I could do, I would make, and I was good at wrestling too. So
Oh.
did well there.
Plus the winters there. Phew.
Ooh.
Brr.
Well, but see, the winters helped me with pandemic. Because when I went to go run, it was in November or December, and we had to
Yeah.
run 5-10 miles. My lungs were burning because you're breathing in that ice cold air and you're hot as
Yeah.
can be. And I asked the guy, I go, "Dude, how do you deal with this?" He's like, "Just here, use my bandana. Go get a bandana next time."
Right.
And I put it around my mouth. So when pandemic came
Right.
about, they said, "Well, you can go to the gym, but you got to wear a mask." And I started getting anxiety. I'm like, I don't know if I can wear a mask when I work out. I got on the elliptical trainer and started to pump, and it immediately took me back to that time in New York when I was a kid, and it became so comfortable. I'm like, I've done this before. It's not a problem.
Right.
So
right.
it was nice. But anywho, I know we get a little cul-de-sac of a topic there, but that's what happened there.
Well, buddy, it was fantastic. We've hit our witching hour.
We've
6
hit the
o'clock.
witching hour. We have. So
And we'll chat next Monday if all goes well, right, pal?
we'll say goodbye with our new theme song, and we call this Engine. Tony, you have yourself a good day. And everybody out there, thank you for having some time with us. We hope to see from you and hear from you again. Please be good humans and love somebody that you don't normally love, okay? All right, you guys take care. Have a good day, Tony. Love you, brother.
We'll see
Bye-bye.
ya. Take it easy.